I'm 76 years old, and I need to tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. For 52 years of my life, I believed that success was the ultimate proof of love. I thought if I built something big enough, if I made enough money, if I achieved enough, my family would understand. They would see how much I loved them. I was wrong, dead wrong. I built a company worth $200 million. I have 6 homes, 3 cars, a yacht I've used twice. My name is on a building at my alma mater. I've been featured in Forbes twice. And my daughter didn't invite me to her wedding. Let that sink in. My only child. The little girl I used to carry on my shoulders. The one who called me daddy and believed I could fix anything. She got married 3 years ago, and I found out through a LinkedIn post. A LinkedIn post. Someone congratulated her in my professional network. That's how her own father learned she was getting married. Not a phone call, not an invitation, not even a text message, nothing. I'm telling you this because you need to hear it, not the sanitized version, not the version that makes me look good. The ugly truth about what happens when you choose ambition over presence, security over love, achievement over attention. You're probably ambitious. You're probably driven. You probably think you're doing the right thing by working so hard, sacrificing so much. I thought the same thing for 52 years. And now I sit in a $12 million house, alone, divorced, estranged from my daughter, with more money than I could spend in 3 lifetimes, and I would trade every single penny to hear her voice again. This is my story, my warning, my confession. Listen carefully, because I don't have much time left, and neither do you. 3 years ago, I was sitting in my home office. It was a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays were my strategy days. No meetings, just thinking, planning, building, always building. I was scrolling through LinkedIn, checking on competitors, looking at market trends, the usual. And then I saw it, a notification. Someone named Jennifer Hayes, a woman I'd met at a conference years ago, had commented on a post. Congratulations to Sarah Mitchell on her beautiful wedding. What a stunning bride. Sarah Mitchell, my daughter. I stared at the screen. My heart started pounding. There must be some mistake. Sarah wasn't engaged. I would have known. She would have told me, wouldn't she? I clicked on the post, and there she was, my little girl, in a white wedding gown, holding hands with a man I didn't recognize, surrounded by people I didn't know, smiling wider than I'd seen her smile in years. The wedding had happened 3 days earlier. 3 days. My daughter had gotten married, walked down the aisle, said, I do. Had a reception, a first dance, cut a cake. And I wasn't there. I wasn't even invited. My hands started shaking. I couldn't breathe. The room felt like it was spinning. I grabbed my chest, genuinely believing I was having a heart attack. I wasn't. It was worse. It was my heart breaking. I sat there for hours, just staring at those photos, zooming in on her face, looking for any sign of sadness that I wasn't there, any hint of regret. There was none. She looked happy, genuinely happy, happier than I'd seen her in decades, and that's when it hit me. She didn't need me there. She didn't want me there. Her life was better without me in it. I had built an empire. I had created wealth that would last generations. I had achieved everything I'd ever dreamed of achieving, and my daughter, my only child, had erased me from the most important day of her life. I called her mother, my ex-wife, Patricia. We'd been divorced for 15 years, but she still answered when I called. Did you know, I asked. My voice was cracking. Did you know she was getting married? Silence. Richard, she said softly. I walked her down the aisle. I couldn't speak. She asked me to. She said, Patricia paused. She said she didn't have a father. Not really. Not one who showed up. I hung up the phone, and I sat in my office, this beautiful, expensive office that I'd spent years designing, and I cried for the first time in 40 years. Not because I was angry, not because I felt wronged, but because I finally understood. I hadn't lost my daughter 3 days ago when she got married. I had lost her decades earlier, one missed recital at a time, one canceled birthday at a time, one broken promise at a time. I just hadn't been paying attention. At 73 years old, sitting alone in the dark, I realized I had spent my entire adult life building something that didn't matter. And I had destroyed the only thing that did. That was my wake-up call. 3 years too late, or maybe 52 years too late. I still don't know which. Let me take you back to when I thought I was doing everything right. I started my company at 24, fresh out of business school, hungry, ambitious, certain that I was going to change the world. Patricia and I got married that same year. Sarah came along 3 years later, and I remember holding her in the hospital, this tiny, perfect human, thinking, I'm going to give you everything. I'm going to build something so big that you'll never want for anything. That was my first mistake. I confused providing with parenting. I thought if I worked hard enough, long enough, made enough money, I was being a good father. I thought my sacrifice was a form of love. It wasn't. It was absence with a paycheck attached. When Sarah was 5, she had her first dance recital. I promised I'd be there, front row, camera ready, but there was a client emergency, a deal that couldn't wait, a crisis that only I could solve. I missed it. It's okay, Daddy, she said when I got home. There'll be other ones. So I waited for the next one. When she was 8, I missed her birthday party, merger negotiations in Chicago. I understand, she said. You're making money for us. So I waited again. When she was 12, she won the state spelling bee. I watched the recording Patricia sent me from a hotel room in Tokyo. I wish you could have been there, she wrote on the card she made me. But I know you're busy. So I waited. I always waited. I told myself, when the company is stable, then I'll be present. When we hit our first million, then I'll take time off. When we go public, then I'll finally relax. The goalposts kept moving. First million became first 10 million. Going public became expanding internationally. Every achievement unlocked a bigger goal, a bigger sacrifice. And every time, I told myself the same thing. Just a little longer, just a little more, then I'll be there. At 35, I missed Sarah's middle school graduation, board meeting. At 42, I missed her high school graduation, investor conference. At 45, I missed helping her move into college, acquisition talks. Each time I sent flowers, wrote checks, bought gifts. Each time I thought money could replace presents. It can't. It never could. You want to know what I remember from those years? Spreadsheets, conference calls, airport lounges, hotel rooms that all look the same. You know what I don't remember? My daughter's face when she opened her Christmas presents, what her room looked like when she was a teenager, the sound of her laugh at the dinner table. Because I wasn't there, I was building. Always building. I had the corner office, the private jet access, the respect of my industry. But I didn't have my daughter's phone number memorized. I had invitations to the most exclusive events in the country, but I wasn't invited to my daughter's wedding. I had a net worth in the hundreds of millions, but I was emotionally bankrupt. Patricia tried to warn me. For years, she tried. She needs you here, Richard, not your money, you. I didn't listen. You're missing her childhood. You can't get it back. I didn't listen. One day you'll regret this. I didn't listen. I thought Patricia didn't understand. She didn't see the big picture. She didn't understand that everything I was doing for them. I was wrong. She understood perfectly. I was the one who was blind. When Patricia finally left me, Sarah was 22. She didn't cry. She didn't beg me to work things out with her mother. She just looked at me with these empty eyes and said, I'm surprised it took her this long. That should have been my wake-up call. It wasn't. I threw myself deeper into work, told myself divorce was common among successful people. It was the price of greatness. What a fool I was. The price of greatness? No. The price of my choices, my selfish, misguided, irreversible choices. Let me tell you about the lies I believed, the lies you probably believe too. Lie number 1, I'm doing this for my family. No, you're not. You're doing it for yourself. I told myself for decades that every late night, every missed event, every broken promise was for Sarah and Patricia. I was building their security, their future. But here's the truth I couldn't face. They didn't ask for a mansion. They didn't ask for private schools. They didn't ask for trust funds. They asked for me, and I gave them everything except that. I wasn't working for my family. I was working for my ego, for the validation, for the high of achievement, for the identity I got from being successful. My family was just the excuse I used to justify my addiction. Yes, addiction. That's what it was, what it is. Workaholism is an addiction that society celebrates. We give awards to addicts and call them driven. We praise people who sacrifice everything and call them dedicated. We're rewarding destruction. I was addicted to the next deal, the next milestone, the next zero added to my net worth. And like any addict, I sacrificed everything that mattered for another hit. Lie number 2, success will bring happiness. Let me save you 50 years of chasing. It won't. I achieved everything, more than I ever dreamed possible. And you know what I felt when I sold my company for $200 million? Empty. Nothing. I thought there would be fireworks, confetti, some deep sense of satisfaction that would wash over me and make everything worth it. There was just silence and a phone that didn't ring because the people I wanted to celebrate with weren't in my life anymore. Success without someone to share it with is just loneliness with better furniture. Lie number 3, I'll have time later. You won't. This is the most dangerous lie of all. The one that kills more relationships than infidelity, more dreams than failure. Later doesn't exist. There is no magical future moment when things will calm down, when you'll have more time, when it'll be easier to be present. There is only now, and now keeps slipping away. I kept telling myself I'd reconnect with Sarah later, when the company was running itself, when I had more freedom, when things slowed down. Things never slowed down, and later became never. I'll never see her as a teenager again. I'll never help her with college applications. I'll never walk her down the aisle. I'll never be there for the birth of her children, if she even has any. Those moments are gone forever. Lie number 4, they'll understand. They do understand. They understand perfectly. They understand that you chose work over them, that your career was more important than their recitals, that your emails mattered more than their homework, that your success was the priority and they were the afterthought. Kids understand exactly what you're showing them, and what you're showing them is that they don't matter enough. I used to comfort myself thinking Sarah would eventually understand my sacrifice when she was older, when she had her own career. She'd look back and appreciate everything I built. She does understand. She understands that her father wasn't there, and that's all that matters to her. I had a business partner named Michael, brilliant guy, built his own empire, worked even harder than me, if that's possible. He died 6 years ago, heart attack at 68. At his funeral, his son gave the eulogy. You know what he said? My father was a successful man. Everyone says so, but I barely knew him. He was always in his office, on a plane, in a meeting. I used to wait up for him to come home, but he rarely made it before my bedtime. I spent my whole childhood missing a man who lived in the same house. He paused, looked at the casket, and said, I hope wherever he is now, he finally has time for a conversation. The room was silent, and I sat there in that pew thinking, that could be me, that will be me, if things don't change. Is that the legacy you want? A eulogy from someone who barely knows you? A funeral full of business associates instead of loved ones? A lifetime of achievements that mean nothing to the people who matter most? Don't take 52 years to learn what I learned. You want to know what haunts me? Not the deals I didn't close, not the investments I missed, not the business opportunities that got away. None of that keeps me up at night. Here's what does. The father-daughter dance I never had. Sarah took ballroom dancing lessons when she was 16. She wanted us to learn together, to have our song, to dance at her wedding someday. I said I was too busy. I told her we'd do it next year. Next year never came. And at her wedding, the one I wasn't invited to, she danced with her stepfather, Patricia's new husband, a man who showed up, a man who was there. That should have been me, the treehouse I never built. When Sarah was 7, she begged me for a treehouse, drew pictures of it, planned where it would go in the backyard, talked about it constantly. I hired a contractor to build one instead. It was beautiful, professional, perfect. She never used it. Years later, Patricia told me why. She didn't want a treehouse, Richard. She wanted to build it with you. She wanted the time, not the thing. The book of poems she wrote me. For Father's Day, when she was 11, Sarah gave me a handmade book, 20 pages of poems she'd written about me, about us, about how much she loved her daddy. I glanced at it, said thank you, put it on my desk. I never read it. I found it last year buried in a box of old office supplies. I finally read every word, every misspelled word, every crayon drawing, every "I love you, Daddy," scrawled in her little girl handwriting. I sobbed for an hour, 22 years too late. The trip to Italy we never took. When Sarah graduated high school, I promised her a trip, just the two of us. Rome, Florence, Venice, 2 weeks of adventure. Something came up. It always did. I sent her with Patricia instead. Wrote a big check and told myself it was just as good. It wasn't. She has photos from that trip all over her social media. Her and her mother at the Colosseum. Her and her mother throwing coins in the Trevi fountain. Her and her mother eating gelato in a tiny piazza. I'm in none of them, because I wasn't there. The words I never said. I don't remember the last time I told Sarah I loved her. I don't remember the last time I told her I was proud of her. I don't remember the last time I held her. I remember the last quarterly earnings report. I remember the last acquisition negotiation. I remember the last investor meeting. But I don't remember the last time I hugged my daughter. What kind of father doesn't remember that? The kind who wasn't paying attention. The kind who was too busy building an empire. The kind who traded his daughter for a balance sheet. Me, that kind of father. After I saw those wedding photos, something broke inside me. Or maybe something finally healed. I'm not sure which. But I knew I couldn't keep living the way I'd been living. I was 73 years old. I had maybe 10, 15 years left if I was lucky, and I was spending them the same way I'd spent the last 50, alone, working, accumulating things that didn't matter, so I made changes, big ones. I stepped back from what remained of my business interests, handed everything to my partners, stopped checking emails obsessively, stopped taking calls at dinner, stopped saying yes to every opportunity. For the first time in 50 years, I had nothing on my calendar. It terrified me. The silence was deafening. I didn't know who I was without the work, without the deals, without the identity of successful businessman. But I sat with that discomfort. I let it wash over me. I forced myself to feel the emptiness I'd been running from my entire adult life. And slowly, things started to shift. I started writing letters to Sarah, one every week. I don't know if she reads them. She doesn't respond. But I send them anyway, telling her about my day, asking about hers, apologizing, again and again and again. I enrolled in a pottery class, something I'd always secretly wanted to try but never had time for. I'm terrible at it. My bowls look like they were made by a drunk toddler. I love every minute of it. I started volunteering at a youth mentorship program, helping young entrepreneurs, not with their businesses, with their priorities, telling them my story, warning them about what happens when you sacrifice everything for success. I reconnect with old friends I'd neglected for decades. Some of them forgive me, some don't. I understand either way. I take walks now, long ones without my phone, without a destination, just walking, noticing things, trees I never saw, birdsong I never heard, neighbors I never met. I'm 76 years old now. These last 3 years have been the best 3 years of my life. Let me say that again. I'm happier now with less time ahead of me than I was at 40 or 50 or 60 when I thought I had all the time in the world, because I'm finally present. Finally here, finally living instead of just achieving. But God, I wish I'd started sooner. I wish I'd woken up at 33 instead of 73. I wish Sarah's wedding had been my celebration instead of my wake-up call. I can't change that, but maybe you still can. Let me ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly. If you died tomorrow, would you be satisfied with the life you've lived so far? Not would your LinkedIn profile look impressive. Not would people say nice things at your funeral. Not did you achieve enough to be considered successful. Just would you be satisfied? Would the people you love know how much you love them? Would you have any regrets about how you spent your time? Would you leave behind memories with people or just accomplishments on paper? Think about it. Really think. I know what you're telling yourself right now. I'm not like him. I won't let it get that bad. I still have time to fix things. That's exactly what I told myself for decades. And then suddenly I was 73 years old, staring at my daughter's wedding photos on a computer screen, realizing I'd run out of time without even noticing. You think you're different. You think you have more awareness, more balance, more perspective. Maybe you do. Or maybe you're just at an earlier stage of the same path I walked. Let me ask you some questions. When was the last time you had a real conversation with your kids? Not about logistics, not about homework or schedules. A real conversation about their lives, their dreams, their fears. When was the last time you took a day off, a real day off, without checking your phone, without thinking about work, without feeling guilty for not being productive? When was the last time you were fully present with someone you love, not half listening while composing emails in your head, not physically there but mentally somewhere else? Actually present? If you can't answer those questions easily, you might be further down my path than you think. I know what else you're telling yourself. But I have responsibilities. Yes, you do. But I need to provide for my family. Yes, you do. But I can't just stop working. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to look at where this is going. I'm asking you to question whether you're building a life or just building a resume. I'm asking you to consider what will matter when you're sitting where I'm sitting, looking back at 8 decades of choices. Because here's what nobody tells you when you're young. The achievements fade, the money loses meaning, the career becomes a memory. But the relationships you built or destroyed stay with you forever. I can't remember my first $1 million deal. I remember my daughter's face when I missed her birthday party. I can't remember which quarter we hit our biggest growth. I remember the look in Patricia's eyes when she finally gave up on me. I can't remember most of my successes. I remember every failure as a father, every single one. You think you're building something meaningful, something that will last, something your family will appreciate. You're not. You're building a monument to your own ego. And when you finally look up from construction, the people you were supposedly building it for will be gone. Don't wait until you're 76 to figure this out. Don't let a LinkedIn post be your wake-up call. Don't trade your daughter's wedding for another quarterly report. The work will always be there. The meetings will always be there. The opportunities will always be there. Your kids won't. Your spouse won't. Your health won't. Your life won't. This moment right now is all you actually have. What are you doing with it? If I could go back and talk to my 24-year-old self, here's what I would say. Stop. Stop telling yourself you're doing this for them. You're doing it for you. Admit it. Stop measuring your worth by your net worth. Money is a tool, not an identity. Stop canceling plans with family for work emergencies. In 20 years, you won't remember the emergency. You'll remember the empty seat. Stop saying later. Later is a lie. Later is where dreams go to die. Later is where relationships go to rot. Stop climbing. Stop building. Stop achieving for 1 minute and look around at what you're sacrificing to get to the top of a ladder that might be leaning against the wrong wall. Just stop. Start. Start putting things on your calendar that aren't about work. Your daughter's recitals, date nights with your wife, vacations that don't include your laptop. Start leaving work on time. Not every day, but sometimes. Enough to prove that your job doesn't own you. Start asking questions and then actually listening to the answers. What are your kids afraid of? What does your spouse dream about? When did you last ask? Start saying no to opportunities that steal time from the people who matter. Not every opportunity, but some. Enough to show where your real priorities are. Start showing up, not with gifts, not with money, with your actual presence, your attention, your time. Here's what else I'd tell my younger self. If you want to coach your kid's soccer team, coach it. Don't wait until next season. Don't wait until work calms down. Do it now. If you want to take your wife to Paris, book the tickets. Don't wait for the right time. Don't wait until you can afford the fanciest hotel. Do it now. If you want to tell your parents you love them, call them. Tonight, not next Sunday, not on their birthday. Now, because they won't be here forever, and neither will your chance. If you want to be there for the little moments, be there. The school plays, the first steps, the bedtime stories, the mundane Tuesday nights that become the memories your kids carry forever. Be there, be there, be there. I wasn't there, and I can never get those moments back. Here's my challenge to you. This week, cancel one work thing, just one, and replace it with something meaningful with someone you love. This week, put your phone in a drawer for an entire evening and be fully present with your family. This week, tell someone you love them face to face, looking them in the eyes, meaning every word. This week, ask yourself, if this was my last week alive, would I be proud of how I spent it? If the answer is no, change something. Today, not tomorrow, not next month, not when things calm down. Today, because when things calm down is a day that never comes. Trust me, I waited 52 years for that day. It never arrived. I'm 76 years old now. I've been trying to live differently for 3 years. 3 years out of 76. 3 years of presence after 52 years of absence. It's not enough. It will never be enough. But it's something. These 3 years have taught me more about happiness than the previous 7 decades combined. I've learned that joy isn't something you achieve. It's something you notice. It's in the small moments you're present for. The ordinary Tuesday evenings, the quiet mornings, the unremarkable hours that become the texture of a life. I miss so many of those moments. I can't get them back, but I can stop missing the ones I have left. Sarah still doesn't respond to my letters. She hasn't called. She hasn't visited. I don't know if she ever will. And I understand. I truly do. I gave her 50 years of evidence that she wasn't my priority. A few years of letters can't erase that. Maybe nothing can. But I keep writing anyway. Not because I expect forgiveness, not because I think I deserve a relationship with her, but because showing up even now, even when it's too late, is better than continuing to not show up. It's all I can do. I want you to know that I don't tell you this story for sympathy. I don't want your pity. I made my choices. I'm living with the consequences. I tell you this story as a warning, as evidence, as proof of what happens when you choose the wrong things for long enough. The irony isn't lost on me. I spent my whole life building something that was supposed to bring security, stability, success, and I ended up more alone than if I'd never built anything at all. But here's what I've also learned. It's not too late for you. It might be too late for me to repair what I broke, but you still have time. You still have chances. You still have moments ahead of you that could become the memories that matter. Don't waste them the way I wasted mine. You have a choice. Right now, today. You can keep doing what you're doing, keep working, keep building, keep telling yourself that the sacrifice is worth it, keep promising someday to the people who love you. Or you can wake up. You can look honestly at where your path is leading. You can admit that maybe, just maybe, you're not as different from me as you'd like to believe. You can choose differently, starting now, not tomorrow, not next year, not when things calm down. Now, because someday is a thief. It steals your present by promising a future that never arrives. Don't let it steal yours. The career can wait a little. The deal can close tomorrow. The email can go unanswered for an hour. But your daughter's childhood won't wait. Your parents' lives won't wait. Your spouse's patience won't wait. Your one precious life won't wait. So don't you wait either. Someday is today. It always has been. The clock is ticking. What are you going to do with your time? If this story resonated with you, I hope you'll share it. Not for me. My time for mattering is mostly behind me. But for every person in your life who needs to hear this, the friend who's always working, the family member who's never present, the person you see heading down the same path I walked, share it with them. It might be the wake-up call they need. Subscribe if you want to hear more. I have other truths to share, other regrets that might help you avoid yours. And leave a comment. Tell me what you're going to do differently. Tell me about the moment you realized what really matters. Tell me your story. I read every comment, and I appreciate you more than you know. Your time is precious. Thank you for spending some of it with me. Now close this video and go be with someone you love.